guys and gals, it's that time again. Elderofwoe back at it. We're gonna go ahead and make our way through the labyrinth. I am gonna make cuts through this video because it's gonna take me quite some time to get through the labyrinth. And so I don't want to put out a huge video. So it's gonna be just like my previous videos. There's gonna be a bunch of B-roll where I'm killing enemies uh, in each area. But beyond that, I'm gonna try and cut out a lot of the small stuff. Now, I may stop and if there's some sort of trap or puzzle that needs to be done, I may stop and keep that in the video and explain a couple of things about it. But beyond that, I'm gonna just this is gonna be a straight shot. Of course I'll have the boss fights in there and drops and all that good stuff, and we'll talk about it at the very end, of course. But for now, I'm just gonna try and make my way through this labyrinth. All right, we're about to go in and fight his not first form, but his first iteration for this labyrinth. So get set up. And right now we actually have the massive shrine because of other things. Because of one of the shrines we got, one of the dark shrines we got on our way in. We're massive and will be affected by the massive shrine all the way until we get to the end. So it increases the area of effect of our attacks. It increases our life and our size, of course. But yeah, pretty simple. Like I said, as far as power, our build has plenty of power, so we focus on that and we focus on staying alive if we're, especially if we're playing hardcore. But of course, always focus on survivability too. I mean, last thing you want to be is, completely glass cannon and, get taken out every couple of minutes. You know what I mean? Haven't found any gear, but again, we got a recipe when we went into the aspirant trial area, and so now we'll just keep going, and I'll keep y'all updated as we go.
Separated by blood, two men bound by hope, two men, and only one emperor.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and cover the 5 switch puzzle. It's pretty simple. We have to have all of them turned on, which they have a little face when they pop up, and basically you just have to hit each one once. So bam, just like that, and pretty simple. Pretty straightforward. Um, Not something you really need to worry too much about. Bunch of good stuff, I think. I don't know if I have room for everything, mind you. But yeah, you always want to get those because that way we can open more treasure chests at the end. Beyond that, though,
I need more pockets.
let's see, what can I get rid of? Don't need that. Don't need that. And meh. But yeah, it's one of the simpler puzzles. There's also a 4 switch and an 8 switch, and if we do those, of course, I'll stop and talk about them. But just wanted to cover this real quick, and now back to the grind. Actually, we're about to hit the boss, so pretty simple. Just come in here, empty our inventory, all the junk we got, except for the currency. Currency has to go where it's supposed to go. We can always look through all of this later. I actually got a decent ring. I might switch my other sapphire ring out for it if I can get a good roll on fire resistance. It would replace this one. It's 2 points off on that, and if I can get something higher than, if I can get like a 30% fire ring, this would be way better because it gives me max energy shield, which this one does, but not as much. and it also gives me a chunk of life, so that'd be great. Let's see, let's put all this up, put our keys up. And let's head in to fight a second form. And there's no other door over here. Usually there's a secondary entrance, but there's not, because when it's a straight path, it's a straight path. But every once in a while it forks and you get 2 different ways to get to the boss. So let's come in here. We'll take care of this guy real simply. He's already defeated. Pretty easy, right? Plenty of damage. Makes it real easy. Before we go to the next area, we'll go back here real quick and dump whatever we got from him. And then keep going. Alright, back to the grind. So this is another one of the annoying traps in my opinion. I'm probably not going to talk too much during this, but I'm going to go ahead and this will be it in the recording for sure. But I showed y'all something like this before, I believe. You just kind of step into it and you have to follow it along until it unlocks. Bad thing is right now there are not just spikes but poison everywhere, so I have to be careful not to stand in either one of those. Let's see. And there's switches, so if I hit the switches, sometimes if you find a safe spot, you just stand there. You know, if you need to kind of think of what you're gonna click next. If you can find a safe spot, go for it. Can't find a safe spot? Well, kind of sucks. Alright, now to get it out of the doorway. But yeah, that's another one of the traps that's just, in my opinion, it gets pretty annoying. And they come in all different forms where you're walking through. Just be as cautious as you can be when doing it. But beyond that, it's just about taking your time, watching the pattern, make sure you don't die. I mean, if worst case scenario, like go and hide and run away. Uh, you know, of course it's good to get everything. Like this is a bunch of good stuff right here, so totally worth grabbing. But still, just always be cautious with that, especially if you're playing in hardcore. Okay, let's see.
I need more pockets.
Still breathing, eh? Good luck to you. Mate.
So we went through everything. Uh, we went through everything. We killed the last boss. We got all our stuff. We did our ascendancy, and we went ahead and we went with Born in the Shadows, so that way I can get some more damage and some more defense at the same time. we're going through all the gear that we found. There was
Good
one
luck
pair
to
of boots that seemed good, and so I went ahead and I threw, I forged it and gave it that little bonus, but the bonus didn't really look like it's gonna help us all that much. So we'll just keep that in mind. But I got a whole bunch of stuff, so we're gonna try and go through all of it as quickly as possible, which I might do. Actually, I might go ahead and do this off camera, but I just wanted to show y'all. I ended up with a lot of stuff. We're gonna sell most of it. End up with a decent amount of currency. Um, Again, I went with Born in the Shadows for more defense and offense at the same time. It's gonna come in handy as things get a little more difficult, especially if you're playing hardcore. I highly recommend going with the defensive skills on your ascendancy. Um, Beyond that, we had a good run on the labyrinth, and I'm just gonna go ahead and call it and head back to what I was doing and get rid of all this junk. We completed this labyrinth. We have another labyrinth to go before we actually finish the campaign, or we might do it after, but more than likely we'll knock it out before we finish the campaign, just so we have access to that extra damage. Um, until next time, this is Elderofwoe saying over and out.